Hello. Good morning, ma'am. Shamita, ma'am. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of our life is depending on the quality of our natural environment. Our need for food, water, shelter, and clothes depend on the environment around us. Environment management helps us to identify the factors that may lead to the environmental degradation and helps in the future prediction that might affect the present and future generations. The main aim is to maintain and improve environmental resources like air, soil, forest, water, fossil fuels, etc. With this, I would like to end my words and would like to pass this event upon to Jay for introduction of our keynote speakers. Thank you.
Uh, a very a, a very warm welcome to all to this today's session. And first of all, let me introduce our today's guest speaker, Dr. Shamita Sawant. Yeah. So Dr. Shamita Sawant is currently operation head in AC Environment Consultancy and has completed MSc in Environmental Science from Mumbai University in 2007 and later got a PhD in Environmental Botany in 2013. She is also IGBC accredited professional and postgraduate diploma in environmental law and policy. She is an NABET EIA coordinator and functional area expert for water pollution monitoring, prevention and control, solid waste management, and ecology and biodiversity. She is a visiting faculty at Garware Institute of Career Education and Development for MSc in Sustainable Development and Environment Management. She has been awarded the research scholarship by Women Graduate Union for doctoral studies and has 5 papers in her name. She is the member for Society for Clean Environment, also known as SOCLE. Her main area of expertise is in environmental clearance, environmental impact assessment, environmental management, environmental auditing, and enviro legal compliances. After completing her 5 years of tenure in NEERI, she is working in an environmental consultancy for the past 9 years and has worked on various upcoming environmental concepts like urban heat island effect, carbon and ecological footprinting, traffic impact assessment, damage assessment, and natural augmentation plan, etc. And today, she is also handling and guiding a team of 6 environmental professionals. So with this, I would like to invite I'd like to pass the mic to the ma'am and kindly request her to begin with the session.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank your college to give me this opportunity for come here and share my experiences or some thoughts about the environmental law. So I'm very thankful to you. Uh, so let us begin with the environmental laws. So basically, students, when we say the laws, rules, acts, we find it a little bit boring because of its language, its commas, and its sub points, sub points in these articles and that norm. So it's for the common people, it's a very boring subject. But today the situation is that when we think about the environment, we must have aware about what are the different environmental laws, what are the different environmental rules that are existing in our country or in our region, in our states. Because now the situation come where we are every day talking about the various environmental degradation for topics. Then we are reaching towards the climate change and the global environmental impacts. Okay, so if we want to stop all these, we must have to know what is the basic and very essential requirement for the environmental protection, what all practices are delineated by our administrative agencies or governments to protect the environment. Okay, so with this basic introduction, I will start my topic. Uh, as all of you know, the need for protection and conservation of environment or a sustainable development um, is a right of every human being. Okay, in our constitution also under the part 4a, article 51a, fundamental duties, defines that it is a duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment wherein they are living. Okay, as well as in the same article, part 4, under the article 48a, directive principles of state policies, our constitution says that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. So just think, when our constitution is written, at that time also the peoples are so conscious that they know that there must be a time come when we are facing some environmental degradation issues or some kind of a problem. So it's better to make it mandatory for the citizens also and for the administrative bodies also, that they should take care of the environment or they should do something for the conservation of the environment. Similarly, there are several environmental protection legislations, or you can say the acts or rules, existed even before the independence of India. Okay, But that time that things are not so much having a glamour or not talk on a common platform or anything like that. When the people is giving the attention to the environmental topic, when they take it as a seriously, after the Stockholm conference on the human environment conducted in 1972. So after that conference, everybody is taking the environment issue as a serious concern. And after that conference in India, uh, under the Department of Science and Technology, the National Council for Environment Policy and Planning has been set up. Okay, so look after the to look after the environmental related issues. Till then, there are a certain rules and acts which people administrative bodies are taking care of, but there is no organized efforts is there in terms of the environmental protection. So after Stockholm conference, they have made up one environmental policy and planning national council. This council is later on become a independent full-fledged ministry named as the Ministry of Environment and Forest. But even after, it takes a 15 to 17 years. Means in 1972 they may first make the national council, and in 1985 they make a independent ministry for the environment and forest. And currently the Ministry of Environment and Forest is the apex administrative body in the country, who regulates the environmental protection, who lay down the legal and regulatory framework for the same. So this MOEF has prescribed, or you can say develop a various act related to the environment. So first most act which is implemented in our country is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So in 1974, the first act come, which is known as the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act. Okay, so as the name suggests, this act is providing the provisions for prevention and control of water pollution. Okay, and try to maintain the or restore the wholesomeness of the water, whether the surface water or a groundwater. This is the first act which establishes the central pollution control board and a state pollution control board in a country. So for regulation of the environmental norms, the two bodies are operated at the two levels. One at a central level, which is called the Central Pollution Control Board, and one at every state level, which is called as the State Pollution Control Board. So in this act, they have specified the uh, what actions or what activities is a pollution control board has to do. Okay, so they have to obtain any information regarding construction, installation or operation of any industrial establishment. What are the treatment facilities they are providing to treat the wastewater, what is their disposal mode. Okay, under this act, the State Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board has given a special duty or given a special right to inspect any industrial establishment, take their records, registers their working pattern and give their opinion. Okay, they have the right to refuse the consent if any industry is doing any bad deed or not giving a proper attention to the environmental protection, then the pollution control board has a right to refuse their consent. They can directly say that you are not able to so they have given various duties and the rights to the pollution control board. Then comes the next act, that is the Air Pollution and Control, Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in 1981. First is for the water component, the second part is for the air pollution and prevention. So in 1981, the Air Act is come. Again, under this act, the State Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board has given a specific duty. Till now, they are concentrating on only the water component. Now, their duties are a little bit extended. They have to look after the air part also. Okay, and as per this, the provision of this act, no person can establish or operate any industrial plant in an air pollution control area without obtaining the NOCs or the consent from the concerned state board. Okay. One minute. Somebody is asking whether I am having a presentation on this topic. So sorry, student, I don't have any presentations to show you today. But definitely, I will share whatever the talk I am giving today in the form of a notes or in the form of a write-up. Okay. I really don't get a time to prepare any presentation. I understand because I am also a teacher, so it is very bored or it is very monotonous if the person to whom you are not at all seeing come and give you the lecture. But kindly bear with me. Sorry. Okay. Uh, so is it okay with you? No response. Are you not there? Okay. Okay. Somebody is
Yes,
giving
ma'am.
response.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's okay.
Yeah, thank you. I am talking about the Air Act. Okay. So under this act, you have to first take the
Hello, Shamita ma'am.
yeah,
Yeah, ma'am, will you please switch on your camera?
yeah, no issues.
Yeah. You don't have a PPT for the presentation?
Yes, I don't have, ma'am. I really don't get a time to prepare a presentation, but surely I will share my talk after this. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, please keep your camera switch on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the Air Act, the next act which comes in the 1986 is the Environmental Protection Rules. And this called as the Umbrella Act or the Umbrella Rule because first time the word environment is considered as a whole. Okay, first act is about the water only, second act is about the air only, but in 1986 after the experience of the earlier year, uh, the need is there, the authorities are feeling that there must be a one law who can govern all the environmental components. So this is called as the umbrella rule or umbrella act, in which every component of the environment is first time considered, and various you can say the various provisions are laid down. So in this, as per this act, all the necessary measures for protecting the quality of whole environment is considered. uh, the plan delineates the national-wide program for the prevention, control, and abatement of the environmental component. Under this act, different standards for the water, air, noise, soil is first time formulated. Okay. Uh, this rule empowers any person to enter, inspect, take a samples and a test. Okay. Under this rule only are organized or the establish a separate environmental laboratories are formed. Okay. Then the governmental analysts are recognized or appointed for the environmental laboratories. This law restricts the areas in which industries, operations, and processes may not be carried or may be carried. So first time detail working has been done. The standards, so different standards have been formulated, which is made mandatory for every industries or every infrastructure projects to follow. Okay. And if any organization, any industry, any person is violating the requirement or the norms prescribed under this act, then the State Pollution Control Board has a right to issue the notice 60 days prior to such defaulter, ask them the necessary clarifications or ask them to provide their justification, and if that justification is not satisfied not as per the or is in environmentally sustainable manner, then they have a right to stop down that activity or shut down that activity. Okay. Next come is the environmental impact assessment notification 2006. Okay. So after environmental protection act, which is the most important act or the notification that come up, that is the environmental impact assessment notification. As per this notification, a process is formulated by which the anticipated impact on the environment of proposed development or proposed activities are measured. Earlier, till then 2006 के पहले क्या होता था, whatever the rules and norms are there, they are taking up post facto things. Okay, they are looking after the establishment or working of the industries, and then they judge whether the operation is as per the requirement or not. But in 2006 first time they uh, gave a procedure for the clear appraisal of the projects which are coming up. So initial में ही at the first stage only ही आपका environmental का क्या impact हो सकता है और आपके activities से environment को कितना disturb हो सकता है, ये पहले ही check किया जाने लगा. So this is the difference between the earlier acts and this new notification. Okay. Under this procedure, everyone has who want to develop their project, whether the industrial project, whether the building construction projects, whether the mining projects, or whether the infrastructure projects like the highways, roadways, everybody, the proponent who wants to come up with their new project, they have to plan their project, they have to design their project in a way that they have a very minimal, or you can say a negligible impact on the environment. They have to prepare a detailed environmental impact assessment report considering the season, different seasons of the year, considering the baseline monitoring of the environment before your sorry. So nowadays it is very difficult for the authorities also to manage the solid waste. Okay. So in 2016, the solid waste management rules has come up. Okay. 1 minute. Hello. Okay, let me बघितला message. Sorry. ठीक है. हाँ. So in 2016, the solid waste management rules has come up, which delineate the emphasis on the source segregation and waste to wealth by recovery, reuse, and recycle. So I just telling you the 3R systems are firstly introduced in this rule. Okay. Under this rule, they have covered all the domestic waste, hazardous waste, and your other inert waste also. But later on, it feels that the only single rule is not sufficient to handle all sort of the waste. So then the e-waste management rules is separately prepared again in the 2016 only, which particularly describe the responsibilities of manufacturer, producer, collection, dealers, dismantler, consumer, and refurbisher of the e-waste product. Okay. So as we are moving towards the industrialization, different types of waste are generating, and to tackle them all in a one umbrella or in a one roof, it is very difficult. So the government bodies thought that let it make a different very specific rules to tackle and to give the guidelines regarding their management. So same way the plastic waste management rules also prepared in 2016, which is particularly related to the plastic waste minimization, source segregation, recycling, involving of the waste pickers, recyclers, and waste processor in collection of plastic waste either from the household or either from the industrial establishment. And this is the rules which specify the thickness of carry bags and also the responsibilities of various municipal authorities in reducing the use of the plastics. Okay. Let me tell you the one important thing also. When a government is formulating any rules or any act, they are not only specifying the duties or responsibility of the other persons. Okay, they are also providing you the alternatives, or they are also providing the steps by which, or the practices by which you can do the management, okay, of the environment. सो कभी ऐसा नहीं होगा कि रूल्स बता दिए हैं तो यू हैव टू डू दैट, यू हैव टू फॉलो दैट, ये करना है वो करना है, नहीं किया तो ये पनिशमेंट होगी, ये आपके अगेंस्ट एक्शन लिया जाएगा. दैट ऑल पार्ट्स आर कवर. बट वो कम करने के लिए व्हाट प्रैक्टिसेस आर यू नीड टू फॉलो, दैट इज ऑल्सो मेंशन इन द रूल. सो आप कैसे कर सकते हैं वो भी हमेशा वो बताते हैं, जैसे कि रिसाइकलिंग, रीयूज. And when I talking about the environmental impact assessment notification, I want to clarify one point. Whatever the rules that are present or that are in place before the 2006, they are talking about the after effects of the development of any industries, development of any infrastructure projects. But in EI notification, first time they are saying that at initial stage only, at planning and design stage only, you have to consider the effect of your activity on the various environmental components, and you have to come up with the definite and effective management practices to minimize the effects or the impacts that your activity have on the environment. So if you are going to pollute the environment, you only have to make the alternative arrangement. Okay, so till now the polluter pays principle is followed. Okay, but even if the polluter pays principle is there, it is not achieving the main goal of environmental protection. Before, what people thinks, what I have to do if I do the environmental pollution, I just have to pay the penalty, I just have to pay certain certain money. Okay, But right now the approach is changed. The body and authorities or the administrative bodies are saying penalty is the one thing, okay, but you have to provide the alternative solution also. So think first what is your impact, then get ready with how to with the treatment or the facilities that will minimize your impact. And if you are not able to do that, suggest some alternative measures also. So both the things you have to do. You are polluting, so you have to pay also, and you have to come up with the alternative sources also. Then in 2016, another important act or the rule is come, that is the construction and demolition waste. That is the construction and demolition waste. So this rule is applied to every waste resulting from the construction activities, repairing and demolition of the civil structures of an individual or organizational or authority. Whoever is generating that kind of a waste, they have to follow these rules and do the necessary disposal practices. So every waste generator has to segregate their waste at source. Then they have to ensure that there is a no littering and deposition so as to prevent the obstruction to traffic or the public. Okay. Then little bit going ahead, I want to say that apart from these basic environmental rules, which is covering the environment, all environmental components, there are another rule which is also important, and that is the National Green Tribunal Act, which come up in the 2010. Okay. So what is the important about this act? Under this act, an establishment of National Green Tribunal is made for effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to the environmental protection and conservation. So under this act, the body is formed, which is called the National Green Tribunal. This tribunal is dealing the various legal cases which are related to the environment, because when a people is getting affected due to the environmental pollutions that are generating from the various industries or various infrastructure projects, they are filing the cases in the MPCB, okay, saying that because of this pollution we are facing the various health effects or our properties are damaged. So there is a no legal body or there is a no association who can look after these cases, who can take a decision on these cases. So in under the National Green Tribunal Act, a separate tribunal is formed. Okay? And this tribunal includes the enforcement of any legal right related to the environment and giving a relief and compensation for the damages to the person and properties that are happened due to the any in the activity or any project. Okay. Uh, the next important act is about the hazardous waste management rules. So you can say our government bodies are looking after all the essential environmental components. No part or the no components is there about related to which there is a no legal provision or a no act or rules is there. Every environmental component is covered. Okay, so for hazardous waste also waste management also there are a particular regulation. Then biomedical waste management and handling rules are also there, which come up in the 1998 and which is particularly related to the waste that are generated from the medical activities. Then in 2000, another act is come up, that is the Municipal Solid Waste Management and Handling Rules, which enabling the municipalities to dispose the municipal solid waste in a scientific manner. Okay. So these are the some of the rules which are developed by the government bodies in various time gaps, and the government bodies is every time or periodically going to amend it. So it's not like that कि किसी एक ईयर में अपने rules बना दिया and that rule is follow or that act is follows for a year and year. No, as and when you are getting or you are experiencing the new challenges, the government is amending their rules or active acts conditions in that rules or activities so that a very effective and a sustainable environmental management can be achieved. Okay. So so these are the some acts and rules, but there are another thought which are gaining the importance in the current situations, and that is a green building norms or the green environment norm. Okay. So what is this green environment norms? So these green environment norms are basically uh, implemented in the project designing or a project planning stage, which focuses on the five major principles, that is the sustainable side design, water quality conservation, energy and environment, indoor environmental quality, okay, and improved occupant health and comfort. Okay. So if India needs to stimulate the large scale green and energy efficient resources or infrastructures, better site planning, conservation of natural resources, and effective use of the available resources is very essential. And the green development initiatives are helps to optimize the use of local material, local ecology, and most importantly to build the projects which are having a lesser power, water, and a material requirement. So these are also a new concept which is gaining more and more importance nowadays, because we are planning to achieve the sustainable development. We are trying to implement the various activities or the practices to achieve the sustainable development. So if in the planning stage only we are thinking of all these green development points, then it will be better to have a good environmentally sustainable projects. Okay. Another important point which I want to highlight it here, as I say just now, there are various rules which are covering the various environmental components, okay, and they are giving you the various management options also. But the important thing is that many a times we face that there are no linkages between all these things, okay. Every authority has their own rights or own practices, and they are implementing it very well at their level, but there is a gap or there is a lag between the intercommunication or the interlocking of all these systems, okay? And over the years the central bodies also experiencing that. State may, if you see, there are different rules at a central level, there are different rules, and definitely the India is a diverse country. It has a very vibrant climate, different locational wise difficulties are there. So it is not wrong to have a region specific or a local specific implementation of the rules or laws, but sometimes there must be a interlinking between all these things. Then now that interlinking or the interconnection is very essential, and that's why at the central level also the government is working on the one you can say the platform who can or through which we have a access through all these rules and activities, okay, or a stepwise systematic clearances procedures for including all the environmental component can be developed. So they are also doing efforts on making a common platform which is easily accessible for the stakeholders, administrative bodies, users, and the common public also. And if we able to bind all the key regulations related to the resource efficiency um, together to bring a greater precision in achieving the targets of sustainable development. Okay. Sometimes government is also taking the seminars, trainings for the authorities, consultants, developers, who all are related somehow by any means related to the law procedure or the obtaining the clearances procedure. So whoever is involved in this process for their capacity buildings, seminars and trainings are also organized by the administrative bodies. So in the last, I would like to say that there are various uh, norms or the rules or the acts developed by the governmental bodies. They have a very clear vision with which they have formulated certain guidelines, certain standards. Okay. But now it's our duty to do the activities or to perform the any practices very cautiously, environmentally sustainable practices, and it's our duty to follow that laws or rules very stringently. Okay? So it is your own conscious or it is your own responsibility which only help to sustain our environment. इट्स लाइक दैट कि आपको अगर कोई चीज करनी है तो जब तक आप खुद के मन से नहीं करेंगे यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू अचीव द डिजायरेबल रिजल्ट. सो सेम वे जब तक we ourselves is not conscious about our own environment, then there is no use of making such type of a seminars or organizing the lectures or including the environmental science as a separate subject in our curricular activity. All these are there. The authorities are taking the efforts at their level to the best. Okay, but we are also have to give our best, or we are also have to do the things which are environmentally beneficial. Okay? So these all I want to share with you. If you have any doubts, if you have anything to say, you are most welcome. So any point anybody wants to ask? I am not covering all the points here. I am just giving overall brief view of all the acts and how the governmental bodies are working, how they are taking the efforts to make the environment more clean and more soothing for the day-to-day living. But I hope with this small brief introduction or a small talk, you will get a clear idea about why the rules are developed and what is the main aim of the acts and rules. So if anybody wants to ask anything. Hello. Uh,
Hello, ma'am.
yes.
Uh, 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 Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful lecture, ma'am. I had a question that we have heard of lots of rules and regulation which is formed by the uh, government. So means regarding the regarding the environment.
Hmm.
But but in actual but in actual case we see that these rules are not followed. So is it same, means is it that these rules are only on the paper, or is it really followed in actual scenario?
Okay. Um, so I will say that it is not like that the rules are only on the paper. There are a genuine people also who are following that, and nowadays the incentives are also provided for the industries or the any project who is doing their best in terms of the environmental management. So definitely if somebody is motivating you, somebody is giving you the incentives or subsidies, so nowadays, little small scale industries are also coming up with the new technologies or the new practices which are environmentally safe. So yes, there are difficulties in implementing the 100% rules and regulations at 100% level everywhere, but the scenario is not like that. If 50 or 60% people you find that they are not following the rules, but there are a 30-40% people are also there who is following the rule very rigorously, who is doing their best in terms of the environmental management. That's why I just told you ki it's everyone's duty. Everyone is ready to blame the others. Everyone is thinking that the somebody else will do for the environment or care for the environment, but no, we all have to do that. So what I feel, we, you the students, or we the teachers, or we the consultants who are working in this field, we need to do our practices very cautiously, and we have to make aware others also to follow the same. और जैसे हम लोगों ने सबने एमबीबीएस, मुन्ना भाई एमबीबीएस देखा ही होगा कि जब तक, आज गांधी जी सेड कि जब तक सामने वाला मानता नहीं है आप वो बताते रहो इन, अगर आपको उससे थोड़ा तकलीफ हो रहा है तो भी फाइन, बट आप आपका अच्छा डीड करते रहो. सम डे विल कम when the other persons who is doing the negative thing will feel ashamed, and she or he will also start doing the positive thing. So same way, never think that the rules are on only the papers or nobody going to take it seriously, though in most of the times the picture is in a negative form, but definitely there are positives also. There are people who are seriously thinking about environment also. So at your level, at a student level, when you are studying these things, never keep this thing in your mind, or never start considering the environment in this negative point. Okay, I will request all of you, though there you may find something bad is happening all here and there, but try to find the positives also which is happening in your nearby surrounding. So never get your mind distracted from your positive things. Okay, so yes, there are things which are actually taking place in a actual real world scenario.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question was there. Ma'am, you said about the green building norms.
Yes.
So few points were there in that. So these points are applicable to all the buildings which are been constructed. Means uh, uh, means uh, the 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 projects which are handled by the big clients such as L&T, so they will follow that. But in case of the contractor, means the project which is handled by the contractors only, and also there are no proper management things are there in that. So is it is it applicable to small projects also? And if suppose they are not following that, so can we take the help of the help of the bodies which are formed to enforce those laws, such as National Green Building Tribunal Act? So can we do that, ma'am?
So let me first tell you, as you rightly said, till date, the green building initiatives is voluntary. Who is the big names? They are doing these all practices, adopting all that practices at their projects. But government also made it compulsory when your projects, now you are talking about the building, so I am taking the example of building projects only. So when your building projects is going beyond the 20,000 square meter area, okay, including FSI, non-FSI, I am not aware whether all these things you have aware or not, but for the time being, just understand that the government is also emphasizing these whatever the green building initiatives are there, like the minimum utilization of natural resources, waste management, water conservation practices. These norms also mandatory by the government in the building construction projects. Okay, so even though a small scale builders or the small persons who doesn't have a big value in the market, but their project is the large scale, or their project is exceeding the square meter area, 20,000 square meter area as prescribed by the government body, then they have to follow these norms. Okay, there is no alternative. Okay, and the most another point I want to highlight here. Now the ministry is thinking of coming up with the building construction management rules. The draft is already formulated. In that also, they are taking care of all the green initiatives, and they are planning to make it mandatory for the building construction projects to implement it in their site. Okay, so it's not like that government is not thinking on that. Government is working on that, and still right currently also, if the project is having the area more area specified in the EI notification 2006, for that project also these initiatives are compulsory.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Is anyone else having doubt? If they want to ask anything regarding the environmental management on the rules and acts, so they can ask freely here. Yes, students, any doubt? Yes, any doubt, student? Okay. I think no doubt, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Shamita, ma'am, thank you so much for your wonderful this one with from your busy schedule, you have taken a small you have taken a time and you have shared your views with us. So thank you so much once again. Yeah, and ma'am, so if we came to we understood a lot of things, and we learn a lot of things from your talk, like about the environmental protection. And yes, it's our individual's duty. It's not we cannot blame every time on the government. It's individual's duty to follow the environmental these things, right? Yes. So ma'am, here you can so students, I'll say that this ma'am session, ma'am session is ended, and we will continue with the second speaker. So ma'am, if you want to continue, you can continue.
Okay, it's nice that you are allowing to continue, but I have some another meeting also. So very sorry, I will not able to continue the session. But once again, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to interact with such a bright students who are the hope.
Yes, yes, sorry ma'am, sorry, from my side only, I was just this thing. So ma'am, actually, yeah, ma'am, so if you want to continue with us, you can be in the meeting, as there will be the second speaker session will start now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that the Ganapathy sir is there from Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai. So if you want to continue with us, so you can continue us with us, ma'am. And thank you so much once again that you with your wonderful words you have give so much knowledge to the students. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So Ganapathy sir, are you there in the meeting? Hello, Ganapathy sir. Unmute
You hear me,
yourself,
madam?
sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. So, yeah. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. So, hope you are doing good.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start now. My student Varsha Bhatt will have the introductory words with you students. Okay, and then the sir will start. Is it okay, sir? We'll start the session.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Rushali ma'am. A very good morning once again to all the participants present here and to our dynamic speaker. Myself, Varsha Bhatt, Co-General Secretary of SOChE Committee, welcomes you all on the behalf of Group of IT Students GITS and Students Organization of Chemical Engineers SOChE for today's webinar. Disaster management is very important, and it cannot be neglected and should never be neglected. So today we have with us a dynamic speaker, Dr. G.P. Ganapathy sir, who is going to speak on the challenges in disaster risk reduction. But before we begin the session, I would like to introduce our speaker of the day. So Dr. G.P. Ganapathy sir graduated from the College of Engineering, Anna University, Chennai, India in the year 1997 and completed his master's from the same university in applied geology discipline. He completed his doctoral research in earthquake microzonation for Chennai City at Anna University, Chennai. Dr. Ganapathy sir served for Center for Disaster Mitigation and Management, Anna University, Chennai, for 8 years as a scientist and carried out research studies in the field of earthquake hazard assessment, earthquake monitoring, seismic microzonation, landslide hazard zonation, liquefaction hazard mapping, soil bioengineering for slope stabilization, environment impact assessment and management. Later, he moved to Center for Disaster Mitigation and Management, Vellore Institute of Technology, VIT, in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Ganapathy served as the director for Center of Disaster Mitigation and Management, Vellore University, Tamil Nadu, from the year 2015 to 2020. Dr. Ganapathy published 60 research papers in reputed international and national journals and presented more than 45 papers in international and national workshops and conferences. And he is managing director and editorial board member for 8 international journals. Dr. Ganpati creating awareness on disaster education, space applications in disaster mitigation and management, the public and scientific community across the globe through various lectures for the last 13 years. Dr. Ganpati has even visited 10 different countries, including United States and Europe, and presented various lectures on disaster mitigation and management. Dr. Ganpati is the point of contact India for the University Space Engineering Consortium and a global University Consortium. Dr. Ganpati is the member for the State Disaster Management Plan Core Group, State Early Warning Committee member, and consultant for preparation of district level multi disaster plan. He is also the member for District Environmental Appraisal Authority of Vellore and Tiruvannamalai districts, member in Drought Monitoring Authority Vellore. Dr. Ganpati is the invited member of the Working Committee on Landslide Hazard Mitigation formulated by the National Disaster Management Authority, Government of India. Dr. Ganpati received special awards for the contribution to District Disaster Management Authority, Vellore, and received various fellowships, namely United Nations Office of the Outer Space Affairs, Vienna Fellowship, INAE Fellowship for mentoring faculty in landslide disaster risk, International Network of Crisis Mappers, and ICCM Fellowship in 2016, and many more. Dr. Ganpati handled 14 funded research projects and more than 30 consultancy projects on disaster mitigation and management and mining. His recent funded research projects are monitoring natural hazards in mountain areas of Russia and India, funded under Indo-Russia bilateral collaboration, and appraising risk, past and present, interrogating historical data to enhance understanding of environmental crisis in the Indian Ocean world, funded by Social Science and Humanities Research Council UK. At present, Dr. G.P. Ganpati sir is working as a professor at Center for Disaster Mitigation and Management, Vellore Institute of Technology in Tamil Nadu. So this was all about our dynamic speaker, and without any further ado, I would request Ganpati sir to take over the webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, Datta College, for the opportunity. Uh, I'll start my session. Are you able to see the screen? My screen? Is it okay? Yeah. Is my screen is visible? Can you able to see my screen? Am I right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
it is visible.
Yes. Okay. Uh, so good afternoon. Actually, today I'm going to talk about the disaster risk reduction and challenges. Um, in recent days, like the frequency of the disasters are increasing in all over the world, and we were talking about the climate change. We are talking about the disaster risk reduction, and we are talking about many more on the disaster perspectives. So, what I'm going to discuss today is countries like India, we challenge, we face a lot of challenges, particularly in case of, pre-disaster and post-disaster situations. So, how, what understanding we have currently in our country, and how best we can cope up for a disaster. That's what I'm going to discuss today. And if you see this one, this is 1138 Aleppo earthquake. The death toll is somewhere around 2.3 lakhs people died. This is 1556 Shanghai earthquake, 8.3 lakhs people died. This is 1642 Kaifeng flood in China, 6 lakhs people died. So a flood can, create a death toll even 6 lakhs people. You just imagine in those days, how the people they died because of even a flood. And this is 1737 Calcutta cyclone, 3 lakhs people died. This is Great Famine, which has happened between 1876 to 1878. Whole south part of India got affected, and part of Mumbai also got affected. The death toll during that time is somewhere around 3 crore. And this is Kuringa cyclone in Andhra Pradesh. Again, 3.2 lakhs people died. This is 1918 flu pandemic. 7.5 crore people has died because of this. Even what we have currently facing is COVID situation. Similar kind of event which has happened in 1918, which killed almost 7.5 crore people all over the world, and it infected 3 to 5% of the world population that time itself. And this is Bola cyclone in 1970. Those days we called as a Pakistan, but it's nothing but the Bangladesh. Again, 10 lakh people died. A cyclone killed 10 lakh people those days in 1970. In 1975, dam fell in Bangkok in China. Again, 2.31 lakh people died. This is Sanchan earthquake in China. Again, 2.42 lakhs people died. This is African drought with kill 20,000 people. This is 1993 Lathur earthquake in India. You all very well know. This is one of the first earthquake which has happened in peninsular India. 20,000 people died. This is 1999 Orissa super cyclone we had in India. We had 10,000 people died. And Gujarat earthquake, we had more than 20,000 people died. And Indian Ocean tsunami, almost 2 lakhs people died all over the world. And Uttarakhand flash flood, somewhere 5,000 people died. And Kashmir flood, we have 500 people died. And this is a 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. More than 5 lakh people got affected. This is 1986 Chernobyl, Russian nuclear power plant explosion. Many people, 1 lakh 35,000 people got affected and evacuated. And this is 1976 Italian Dax crisis, what we called in Sevaso, actually. Huge number of population got affected. You can see the impact of the dioxin cloud polluted densely in the air, and it impacted on the. If you see the kid's face, it got damaged. You can see very clearly. And this is 1952 London smog. The smog even created a problem, and many people they're not able to breathe and they died. And this is March 1978 oil spill in Amaco. Again, here also people they died. So, what we need to understand of all these disasters, we have disasters from years and years. It is not new to us. It may be there for for us, our knowledge. It is there in 500 years, and in history, it is there for thousands of thousands years. So the disasters always there from the historical period. It is not new to us. The one thing what we can understand from the disaster is earlier we used to get a lot of people they died to due to disasters, but in recent days the death toll due to these disasters are reduced comparatively the previous years, because our the world moving towards the disaster risk reduction procedure what we currently follow. So what is it is nothing but the reducing loss of lives due to disasters. Okay, so if you want to understand for any disaster you need to understand the characteristics of a disaster. Unless you know the characteristics and countermeasures of the disaster, you are not able to handle the situation. So some of the disasters are rapid and some of the disasters are slow onset disasters. So what is this rapid onset and slow onset? Say example, a disaster like an earthquake, it is a very quick movement. It may happen at any time, so we are not able to predict earthquake as of now. So that's why it's a very a rapid onset event. And flood or a cyclone is a slow onset event. You have a time, say example 10 days time or 5 days time, you are able to have a preparedness time. But in case of an earthquake, you are not going to have the preparedness time. Another one is the frequency versus severity. Again, here the earthquakes, it may happen in any time, but the frequency is very less compared to a event like a flood. So flood may happen every year due to the heavy rain and other causes. But in case of earthquake, it may happen if you want to have a major earthquake, it may have you need to have 100 years written period or 200 years written period. And the mitigation measures to withstand impact and avoid impact. So you can have a mitigation measures. If there is a disaster, you can try to mitigate or you can try to manage or you can try to avoid the disaster, like going for a land use regulation and other things. And the study area, for example, the right hand side picture, if you see, it's a city area. The left hand side picture is see is a rural area. The area may be 10 square kilometer area in the left hand side, and right hand side also 10 square kilometer area. But the number of building which is happening in the rural area, within 10 square kilometer area, you have only minimum 100 buildings. But in the same right hand side, the urban area, you have hundreds of buildings. So the disaster in urban area impact more compared to a rural area in terms of the building damage and the collapses which is going to happen. So you need to understand everything, like the study area, the impact, the onset of a event, the frequency of the event. Unless you study properly the disaster, you are not able to handle. So that's why you need to understand properly what a disaster will do. Okay, so what is a disaster then? A disaster is the impact of a natural or man-made event upon a vulnerable community, resulting in disruption, damage, and casualties, which cannot be relieved by the unaided, capacity of locally mobilized resources. It means when you are not able to handle the disaster on its own, when you are going to calling assistance from an international agency, we will call it as a disaster. Okay. So, international or other agencies like the neighboring states or neighboring countries. Okay. So, what is an environmental hazard? So, environmental hazard is a substance or a state or event which has potential to threaten surrounding natural environment or adversely affect people's health, including pollution and natural disasters. The disaster, natural disaster is not directly is an environmental hazard, but it will create. It's a cascade effect. It can create an environmental hazard after a disaster occurs. And these are all the major categories of environmental hazards. We have a natural hazards, we have a technological hazards, we have a contextual hazards, and in disaster, what we need to understand is what a disaster will do. Whether an earthquake, the ground will open, all will go inside. No, even if you are going to have a 8 or 9 magnitude earthquake, it is not going to happen when you're seeing something in a picture. It is not going to happen. So, what a disaster will do, what kind of impact it is going to create, that you need to understand before treating a disaster. And best immediate action to take personally and by the families and other keen groups. So, what you have to do? So, whether if there is an earthquake happen, whether you have to evacuate from the home, or whether you are going to be still continue in the home, go for a drop cover action, or what kind of measures you have to do. If there is a fire in your home, kitchen fire, whether you'll be allow the kitchen fire to quench, or whether you are going to escape from that location, and what kind of things you have to do. That is very very important. And how best help other community members. If you know how to handle a disaster or how to react during a disaster, then you can able to understand, you can able to evacuate the particular location. And what government has to plan, because many times government, it will take time to act during a disaster. But nowadays, government, they are doing very good. But again, the thing is, how effectively you can involve with the government, so that it will be easy to quickly recover or restore the from the disaster events. And how to participate effectively in the disaster communication warning process, because mostly the educational institutions are the main role, play a main role in the message dissemination, the information dissemination which is going to happen. How to improvise shelter. So in case of a disaster, you are not going to get a shelter after the major disaster. How to get a shelter, how to arrange the shelter for the mass people. Okay. So this is nothing but the disaster management cycle. So immediately after the disaster, you can have a response. So what is the response? You have to rescue a people immediately. So that is nothing but the response. So rescue, we have a major challenge. For example, there was a building collapse in the Tamil Nadu sometimes back. The 7-story building which has collapsed, 11-story building which has collapsed, and somewhere around 60 people died. We are able to save some 27 people. To safeguard this 27 people, somewhere around 600 to 700 people we use as a manpower to rescue operation. So we have a major challenge in a rescue operation, because the disaster like an earthquake, you need to have more and more number of people they used to trained in case of a disaster situation. So that is the one main challenge what we have currently in rescue operation. We have a nighttime rescue operation. You need to have a power supply, because most of the time in earthquake time, the power supply will go off. You need to have a 24 by 7 power supply. You need to have a adequate mechanism to handle the situation. And once relief rescue is over, then we have to go for the relief operation. So relief also the major challenge. I can give you one of the best challenge in what we faced during Nepal earthquake in 2015. Actually, there was an earthquake which has happened in Nepal in 2015, 7.6 magnitude. We all reached there and we try to help the people. during that time, what happened? One full tanker lorry of medicine came from Germany. So a huge medicine came. When the doctors want to segregate the medicine, so we are not able to read, because the medicines are written in German language. So what to do? So we call some information technology people, computer science people. We ask them to create some kind of coding, and we are try to scan and try to translate the material, so that by using some translation tools, and the later we try to translate. So we have a challenge, because when disaster happen, many people they try to help you, but you need to know how to handle the situation, how to get the material and properly distributed in the time. And once rescue is over, relief is over, then we have to go for the rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is like, it's a big task in our countries like India. We are emotionally, very, very, weak in most of the Indian people. So, the death during any disaster, it is not easily go away from their inner mind and inner thoughts. So the rehabilitation also should be proper. Once the rehabilitation is over, then we'll go for the reconstruction process. So reconstruction is nothing but you have to reconstruct the lifestyle. It is not easy to reconstruct the lifestyle. For example, again after 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, we went for a survey, and the coastal fishermen, the government of India, government of Tamil Nadu, they constructed lot of nice houses, which is away from 2 to 3 kilometers away from the coast. And when we visit this houses, the people, fishermen, they are not living in the house. So I was there actually during one of the inspection. Actually, one farmer, he called me. He took me first to the toilet. When we visit the toilet, like they are not using the toilet; they are using the toilet as a storeroom. So why it has happened? So when we asked, they said so this was constructed by some foreign people. They came. It was funded by World Bank and other things. Some foreigner came. They designed all these things. So they gave a Western toilet. So we do not know how to use a Western toilet. So a fisherman is a simple person. You need to understand what is their need. If you are going to construct a house, so what they want, that we have to give. That is not there in our reconstruction process. So they are not using, and they said, sir, our house is far away from the coast. So we have to take our boat and net for fishing. So if I want to go for a 3 o'clock morning fishing, 4 o'clock morning fishing, I have to take boat and fish net, which I cannot carry 2 kilometers away from the coast area where I am staying. So we want to stay near the coast. So that's what the answer given by the fishermen. So each and everything play a major role when you are going to work with a disaster management perspective. The people, you need to understand what is their need. So that's what, like the rescue, relief, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. After that, we'll go for the risk reduction part and the preparedness part. So risk reduction is nothing but the mitigation. You have to reduce the loss of lives, and the mitigation is nothing but you can try to mitigate the people's life. Okay. So how we can do this? So we can go for hazard, vulnerability, and risk assessment. What is a hazard? For example, this is a hill. There is going to be a roll down of a rock. So if the rock is going to fell down, it's a hazard. Okay, when no one is not there, there is a hill, there was a rock. Okay, the rock is falling from the hill, so it's a rock hazard, or we can call it a rock fall, or it can be a landslide or something like that. Okay, it's a phenomena, a process or a human activity that may cause loss of life. It may cause loss of life, injury or other health impact, property damage, social economic disruption, or environmental degradation. Okay, it may be a natural or it may be a man-made, right? Okay, so what is a disaster? If someone is there in the down, okay, the hazard will become disaster, because it is going to hit and they will die. Because of that, it will create a disaster. Okay, so what is disaster risk? Suppose this person is there here. If the rock is falling, so this person is under risk. Okay. So the potential loss of a life, injury, he may get injury, He may die. Okay, he may totally damage. If there is a house, it will be totally damaged. Okay, if there is a community, they may get affected. Okay, so there is a probabilistically as a function of hazard, exposure, vulnerability, and capacity. So what is vulnerability? If this rock is going to fall on this person, the person is vulnerable to the particular hazard. Okay, so what is the exposure? The situation of people, infrastructure, housing, or production capacities, and other tangible human assets located in the hazard prone area. If this is the earthquake prone area, sorry, landslide prone area, if these people are here, so these people are exposed to the particular hazard. What is the capacity? If these people are here, if you know how to protect them, so they have a capacity to protect, even though there is a landslide, okay, or a rock fall, they are able to handle it. Okay. So what is disaster risk management? It's nothing but the application of disaster risk reduction policy. If you are going to use some risk reduction policies, okay, and strategies to prevent new disaster risks. So it is going to stop. If you know how to protect the life, then it is going to safeguard the life of the people. So you are able to manage the risk. That's what we are trying to do here. And what is prevention? So prevention is nothing but before a hazard comes, you have to stop it. For example, landslide, the rock fall. If you have method to stop it over there, even if you people are here, even there is a rock, but it is not going to fail. So activities and measures to avoid the existing and new disaster. So it is going to stop, right? And what is mitigation? So you protect yourself, even if the disaster is happen, if the hazard is happen also, you are not going to get damage. Okay. So what is preparedness? Even if you know, if you don't have mitigation practices, if there is a hazard happen, if you know how to evacuate from that particular location, then you have a chances of, safeguard all the lives. So that is nothing but the preparedness. So this what in overall in disaster mitigation management we are trying to do. Okay. So what we have in India? India, we have a National Disaster Management Authority, what we call as NDMA. So their main thing is like empowering stakeholders for improving the effectiveness of the disaster management in India. That's what they mainly focus on. We have a Government of India system. Under Government of India, we have a high-level committee. We have a cabinet secretary. Under that, we have NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. Under that, we have a National Emergency Center. Under National Emergency Center, we have a states. We have a State Disaster Management Authority and State Emergency Centers. Under that, we have a District Disaster Management Authority. We have a District Emergency Centers. After that, we have a Taluk Disaster Management Authority and have a Taluk level centers. So all these things are there. So for example, NDMA, the chairperson is for the disaster is our Prime Minister. In the state level, the Chief Minister is the chairperson for disaster management. Okay. So what we currently do in India, our Prime Minister, we have a 10-point agenda for disaster risk reduction. We have all developmental sector must imbibe the principles of disaster risk management. Risk coverage must include all starting from poor household SMEs to multinational corporation to national states. Women leadership and greater involvement should be central in disaster risk management. Leverage technology, development of new university networks, build local capacity, make use of every opportunity to learn from disasters. Lessons learned from disaster we have to prepare and bring about the greater cohesion and international response to disaster. That's what the 10-point agenda currently what our Government of India is doing. So earlier days, we have only one ministry which was taking care of all this disaster initially. That was Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperation. So after that, 2001 Bhuj earthquake, India felt that it is not able to handle by the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperation. So that the disaster management ministry is transferred to Ministry of Home Affairs. So after that, what happened? The disasters frequencies are increasing. The damage due to these disasters are increasing. So Government of India, they planned Instead of handled by one ministry, the each disaster will be handled by the different ministry. For example, accident ministry of civil aviation, rail accident will be railways, road accident ministry of road and transport, avalanches ministry of defense, biological emergency ministry of health family welfare, cold wave ministry of agriculture, cyclone ministry of earth sciences, drought ministry of agriculture and farmer welfare, earthquake ministry of earth sciences, flood ministry of jal shakti. So like that they have a different ministries for each disasters they have put. Okay. So what we have currently in India, we have the different hazard maps. So this is nothing but the seismic hazard zonation map of India. Okay. So what it shows actually, this shows nothing but the severity of the seismic earthquake hazard in India. Like the light color shows here is zone 2, a light orange will show zone 3, dark orange will zone 4, red will be in zone 5. So what is it? It's nothing but uh, um, zone 2 means you can expect a magnitude of 4.59, zone 3 6.9, zone 4 you can expect a magnitude of 7.9, and zone 5 will be somewhere around 8 and above. So it gives clearly you are in which location where you have the what is the maximum expected magnitude that you can have. So for example, Gujarat in zone 4, Mumbai in zone 4, you can have a chances of earthquake magnitude of 7.9 maximum. Okay, so like that you can have a idea. Another one, what they have is some kind of fault pins. They have put it over here. That is nothing but the faults which is going to generate earthquake for those areas. Okay. The next one is landslide hazard zonation map of India, which clearly gives the severity of the landslides in India. So the again the red color portion, what you are seeing over here is the severe to very high landslide prone area, mostly in our hilly area, which is prone to landslides. And we have floods hazard zonation map of India. All our river area and other area they have divided into number of parts, and those areas are prone to floods. And we have thunderstorm incident maps. This is a new map which is given by the government of India. So their number of thunderstorm which is occurred in particular area are depicted over here. And we have wind hazard zonation map of India, where it has classified the different damage risk zone of wind are given over here. This is a cyclone hazard map. And this is a cyclone occurrence map of India, which is given the recent data. So the coastal areas are prone to cyclones. So if you see in this map, like the western part of India is prone to more cyclones. Eastern part of India is prone to more cyclones compared to western part. Okay, so I'll just talk one by one about all these disasters, because what challenge we are currently facing. So one is on earthquakes. What an earthquake will do? Many people we think that earthquake will do the ground shaking because of the people. So we have other effects of earthquakes. We'll have a liquefaction. The soil will become zero solidified. So the building will collapse. There is a fault. The fault movement will be there. Again, building will collapse. Land subsidence. The building will tilt. Induced landslide. It is going to generate landslide, and of course it is going to generate tsunami. So it have a multiple effect. It's have a series of effects, so it will create multiple environmental disasters also. So this what we have currently, like the seismic zonation map of India, where you can find it out. And the best thing, out of this map, you can design your structures accordingly, like depending upon the locations. Okay. And this is another one, like I'm just giving an example. The lake fill areas, like the filled up soil, where you have water bodies in earlier days, they filled and they constructed houses over there. In this kind of area, if you feel one time earthquake in a normal area, you can find feel 2 to 3 times more. That's why you have a site amplification. The building resonance will increase, so you'll have a more damage on the buildings. So what you can do for these kind of disasters, so you can go for an undestructive testing. You can test the building, so whether your building is safe or not. And if already you have constructed, you are going to construct a new building, you can use this kind of seismic building codes. And if you are already constructed a building, you can use this kind of, different retrofitting techniques, like if the length is greater than 3b, you can go for a partition, or you can have a support from the outside wall. So what you want to know is, this is the map which is given by Professor A.S. Arya. You might have heard about his name. He's a very famous person. He was a professor in IIT Roorkee, and he was the vice chancellor of IIT Roorkee. He was the member in Disaster Management Authority in Bihar. Recently, he passed out. This is his slide. So he always suggests me to present this slide wherever I go. So, if you want to construct a earthquake resistant building, you can spend only, if you are in zone 3, so spend only 2% of your total cost. If it is a RCC building, you can spend only 2.6 to 3.2% of your total cost. Okay. So, even if you have all these things, but we are not able to predict earthquake as of now. So prediction in the sense, I'm not able to tell, so tomorrow what time, what magnitude, how, where, and what magnitude earthquake it is going to hit you. So that is not possible as of now. So that's why we have to go for the damage scenario. If there is going to be a different magnitude earthquake, you have to identify what is the scenario. And of course, you have to prepare for drug cover, hold on, and triangle of life, all these things, during an earthquake, because in zone 5, you can't use this kind of methodology, because there's going to be a major building collapse. So your life is under threat, so you have to immediately evacuate. But places like zone 3, so zone 2, zone 3, they can practice only these kind of things is more than sufficient. Because if you go and hide over there on the table or in a triangle position like this, so it will be safe, because you're not going to get a major earthquake. So this you can practice. And safety during an earthquake, then you have to calm down. If you are inside, stay away from the furniture, windows, and lamp. If you are outside, stay away from the buildings, walls, and power poles. Turn off your taps, fuels. Use staircase. Do not use lift. Put out fire. A torchlight you can use. Don't use any matchboxes, because after the earthquake there will be a leakage of gas. So use only torchlight. Do not enter the damaged buildings. So if you are trapped, uh, cover your mouth and nose. Don't shout, because you can suffocate in the dust. Hit with an object to show your position. Okay. And do not move seriously injured people unless they are imminent danger or being harmed. If you are able to move, you can do, otherwise don't do it. And be alert if a possible aftershock that may occur. Do not use the phone unless absolutely necessary. Pay attention only to information from the authorities. Okay. So we have a system now to monitor the earthquake. We are not able to predict the earthquake, but we can monitor. So today, if there is going to be earthquake, and after occurring, they are putting this in the website. You can find it out from this website. Okay. So floods, generally, if you have an overflow of water in a river, then you'll have a floods. But the thing is, we have a different types of flood. That's the major problem, in Mumbai or Chennai. All these major cities, what they face is a different kinds of floods. We have a periodic floods, we have a flash floods, we have a river floods, we have a coastal floods, we have a seasonal floods. So what kind of floods it is going to hit you, that you need to understand very well. And we have a urban flood, because you don't have a space to infiltrate. So that's why places like Mumbai, you get an urban flood. And you need to know, are you prone to flood, where you are, and what kind of measures you can take it. These are all some flood mitigation measures are available. So avoid further construction practice over there in the flood prone areas, and raise of flows and other things. You can go for a mitigation measures. And hazard maps are available, like earthquake hazard map. For flood also, you can have a different flooding probability of occurrence, that you can take it out. And we have a flood warning system which is available already by the government of India, Central Water Commission. You can monitor the flood in dams. So if there is a dam level breaches the exceedance limit, so it will automatically give the warning. And we have a flood preparedness maps are available. And landslides, you might have heard about this landslide, like Landslides are nothing but the mouse movement in the slope. This is nothing but the landslide which is happening in Pune, in Malinga. You all know about this. This is in Maharashtra. In the year 2013, July, I guess, I was there after this landslide. We investigated this landslide. More than 191 people who have died over there in this landslide. The one whole village was there on the foothills of the slope, which is washed away by this, landslide. And we have a slope failure, and the remediation options are available: sheet filing, geogrid, or geo drainage, or trenching, benching. So biotechnical soil stabilization are available. These methodologies are available to stabilize the slope. And the soil bioengineering technique is nothing but like planting a tree, planting a sample like plantation material on the slope itself can hold the soil, so that the landslide will be mitigated with the engineering, partially with the engineering missions like this. So this is very cheap, and we have a landslide monitoring systems are available. And we have a cyclone, and the IMD is the nodal agency, all very well knows. Rainfall monitoring they do, and of course the cyclone they monitor. And this is the structure of the cyclone. We called high wall and spiral band and cirrus canopy. And there's a structure, and we have a category of cyclone, different category, like earthquake category. We have a cyclone category also. This is the life cycle of the cyclone: formative, immature, and mature, and decay stage. Formative is the initial stage. Immature, when cyclone started, you'll get a rain. Mature stage, you'll have a heavy rain. And decay stage, then slowly the rain will decrease. And we have a cyclone warning systems are available. If you go to Zoom Earth, you can find it out. You can track the cyclone, what has happened, how, when it is moving, what time it is moving, how much is the pressure, how much is that, everything you can monitor online nowadays. Like all these informations are available in the internet. Of course, you know about the tsunami is the offshore earthquakes. If you have earthquake in offshore, then there is a chances of tsunami. And uh, you can have a tsunami mitigation things, and you have a tsunami warning system nowadays. Like INCOIS is doing this exercise. Like if you have any part of the Indian ocean, or a Bay of Bengal, or Arabian Sea, any earthquake which is happening, immediately it will be detected by the sensor, and it will be transferred to the main location to satellite information. And immediately they have a model. If there is any point of India, like ocean, there was an earthquake, then they have a 60,000 model for these areas, and immediately they can easily calculate the wave motion. And this was the tsunami warning system which is available in the India, and this what we monitor. And yeah, we have other disaster management support services also in India. Like this is on uh, Bhuvan by the government of India. Um, um, the flood hazard map, which is already available, and we have a disaster management support services are available. This is National Flood Vulnerability Assessment System, which is available. This is Spatial Flood Early Warning System, which is available. And we have NDEM. This is nothing but the National Database for Emergency Management, and Geoportal for Emergency Management, which is available. So all this information you can get it from this website. And we have emergency management apps are available. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we have this TN Smart, so you can find it out whether disaster alert, weather forecast, rainfall forecast, satellite data you can get it, vulnerable locations you can get it. And Indra Vajra is nothing but the app there you can find it out, like next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, how many lightning is going to hit your area, that you can even find it out from this app. And this what I want to show you. This one is a thing, like what generally we do. Like you might have seen in my CV, like there is a crisis mapper award called ICCM fellowship. So what we do, actually, we have a people of all over the world. We have a group of crisis mapper. So what generally we do, like we used to collect data from satellite, and try to analyze and help the people in the ground. So this is very, very hectic exercise. What we do generally, like for example, during Nepal earthquake, we collect the data from satellite data. So those days, like we are not able to collect data from our ISRO. So we used to communicate to UNOSAT. UNOSAT is nothing but the UN operating satellite system, which is available. So what they do generally in any after a disaster, they will orient the data to the particular area, satellite to the particular area, and they collect the satellite data and give it to us. So they give us a raw data. What we do, we image process those data, and we analyze this data during that time. Actually, Nepal earthquake was there, so we used to find it out which are all the worst affected location, whereas the most damage occurred. So all these images, we get the live satellite data, high resolution, 1 meter resolution satellite data from the UNOSAT, and we analyze, like, how many buildings are damaged, what is the alternate route, how to go to the particular route, whether the bus can go in this route. So everything we can find it out from the satellite data. That information through internet, we have a crisis mapper group. So with that, we transfer the information through social media like Facebook, Twitter, and other thing to our partner, who are all in the Nepal, and they distribute this information to the local NGOs. So the local NGOs can easily go and find it out what all the information is required in this particular location. So that's what we do generally. And I'm just coming to end of my presentation. This is nothing but the transferring traditional and indigenous knowledge. It's a very, very important thing. Wherever I go, I used to talk about this. Is like, our forefathers are having very high indigenous knowledge and traditional knowledge, but we are not using those knowledge currently. So this is the one of the best example I can say. There is a earthquake resistant traditional architecture in Japan. This is the temple, 1300 years old temple. There are huge scale of several huge scale of earthquake hit over this temple. So none of the earthquake was hit or damaged the structure, because the structure was designed accordingly, so that the building will shake but it won't damage. So the architecture, like, the architect who came to India during that time, he learned the technique from our India, and he go back, and he constructed the temple there in Japan. But we don't have a such kind of temples over there in currently in India. And this is another information called baobab tree, like, the rainfall and drought warning. So the baobab tree is having a carrying capacity of water. So if the tree is started drying from the bottom to top, it means that whole area is undergoing a drought. So that's what another important indigenous information. And this is the flood warning. And this is called emlaka bird. It's like, in India also we have a similar kind of bird. So we have if the birds are shifting their nest from bottom to top, okay, it means, there's going to be a flood in this particular location. So again, it's another important thing, like, a bird can detect a flood and 24 hours before. And this is called vaju protection for flood. So what generally people they do in places like Japan, they construct the vaju plantation over there in the erosion and depositional areas, so that it will stop the erosion, so that you'll have protected from the flood. And this is another one called mangrove plantation. So where you have the lot of mangroves are there in most of the areas where you have a marshy land. So when the tsunami water comes, the tsunami wave velocity will be reduced by the mangrove plantation because of the spinning nature of the mangrove in the area. And so this is another one, like, what we call the Sangukal Mandapam. This is in Tamil Nadu actually. Sangukal Mandapam is nothing but the conch, like, when in the river, when river water comes, then there is this conch like a structure over there. When water comes, then it moves over there, and it will the wind will go inside the conch, and it will give a sound, so that the people in the river bank, they understand that there's going to be a flood in this river. So everybody they move from out of this area. And after slowly, water going down, the automatically the sound will decrease. So you don't need a power, you don't need anything. Those days our forefathers, they are clever, the kings are were clever. They constructed house, building like this, and they give early warning for a flood. And this is another place. This is my native place. Again, this is called Senji actually. Senji Fort, you can see, like, one of the historical place. So this place is prone to flood and drought actually. So our forefathers kings are very clever. The fort, the area which is available the water for, if you go now even 365 days, you'll get a water over there in the pond, and they arrange such a way that, or they will divert all the rivers and nalas over here, and the water will be available in this pond. And there's a small structure over there nearby, so that they can store the food over there during any emergency like a drought condition. They will serve for the villages. And similar kind of structure they have in the top of the hill, and you can find it out. There is a small pond also over there in the top. And our kings, they use this when the ground area got flooded. The kings and queens, they use this material in the top, and they survive, and they try to help people. And this is another one, like, now everybody, we were talking about line of sight alignment, surveillance, all these things. If you go there in this fort, three fort, like, you can see there is a three fort. One fort king will be there, another fort queen will be there. In the other fort there is a surveillance people. So the surveillance people can see from one port to another port. So how our forefathers are very, very clever in those days itself. They construct such a kind of eye of sight of vision, the line of sight of vision, everything in those days. And this is another temple architecture which is available in most of the places in Tamil Nadu. Actually, if you find it out, so these areas they use as a traditional incident command system, because when there is any war or any kind of disaster happen, people they assemble over here, and they talk, so that it will be audible to everywhere, and it's easy to understand. And another one, like, this is one of the river system which is there in Tanjavur. Actually, they cut the river and they constructed the temple over there. They nicely manage the drainage management system. No single flood water goes inside. So such a way that the kings are maintained the drainage management system. And this is another one called Rameshwaram temple. Actually, in Tamil Nadu. Actually, again, these temples were, constructed in a place where you have thousands of cyclones were tossed in the historical time. So these temples are, highly safe, because thousands cyclones were crossed, but none of the cyclones were damaged this temple in this location. And because it's aerodynamic, so like your ambassador car, so when wind comes, it is going to tear the wind, it is not going to damage the building. Such a technology our forefathers, they constructed on the temple. And there's another dam, they constructed this dam on the quicksand. It's a 1,000 years old dam, still it is working, and no single crack you're not finding over there in this dam. And this is a very, very famous dam which is there in Tamil Nadu. If you come to Tanjavur, Trichy, you can find it out, this dam, and you can have a very, very beautiful vision over there. This dam is constructed on the liquefaction prone sand, where liquefaction is nothing but when you are going to put your leg, it will go inside. It's like a quicksand. So our kings, our forefathers, they have an idea, like, they put rocks one over the other, they bind the rocks over there in the water and itself. And they constructed this big dam. It's a 1,000 years old dam, still it is working. So what I want to convey here is, like, we have our own traditional and indigenous knowledge in India. We are not using much, like, that's why we always compare the other countries, but we are far, far better than any other countries, particularly in case of a disaster management. So we use what we need to know, like, we used to use our traditional and indigenous knowledge and other things with our practice, and it should be easy to manage any disasters. So we have a 1.34 billion brains, and we have 2.68 billion hands, and our destination is disaster risk in India. Thank you. Any doubt? Any queries? Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ganapathy sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Yes, students, any doubts? Any question related to the disaster management or anything else related to the environmental management you wanted to ask? So you can ask. Yes, students, any doubt? Yeah, thank you. Seriously, sir, your
Hello,
session
hello,
was
sir.
really good. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So anyone
Hello, hello, sir.
wants to ask? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
sir, thank you very much for your for this wonderful session. Sir, you were talking about the Rameshwaram temple. So that
Correct.
how that it was built by our four fathers, and how it had and how it is able to resist thousands of cyclones. So, sir, but now this means the the knowledge what our forefathers were having, it seems to be lost, sir. So is there any way to retrieve those things
Yeah,
so that we can use those things today, sir? Yes, sir.
yeah. You're right. It seems to be last, but it is not. We are not last fully. Still, we have our, elder generation. So that's what I always suggest. Like mingle with people. Like here in rural India, if you go still in many other places, they practice this kind of traditional and indigenous knowledge. Say example Bihar. If you go to Bihar, like last couple of years back, I visited Bihar. Still in rural area in Bihar, Kosi River bank, people they go for some traditional methodology to handle the flood. All this information, so still it's available. But only thing is like we have to explore the thing like what they have. We have to document it. The main problem in India is like documentation. So if you go to China, if I for example, if I ask you your grandfather name, you are able to tell, right? Am I right?
Yeah, yes, sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
If I ask you what is your grandfather's father's name,
It may be little difficult for me.
difficult, yes.
Yes, sir.
So his father is difficult, right? So if I ask like what is your grandfather's grandfather name, so you're not able to tell. But if you go to China, so they have up to sixth generation. They know up to sixth generation. So the thing is like they are documenting. So every year what they do, like they have a document, like it's a family tree. They write all this information, what are the important things which is happening in their life. They note it down and they give it to the younger generation. Like if the father is there, they write all this information at certain age. Then after that data they will give it to the younger one. That the younger one will start write the information. So like that we'll have a documentation practice in China. So like that we need to have a documentation practice. At least like we have to explore the information from different agencies and different literatures. And mainly in India, what we have many of the things like whatever I presented, like most of the things I collected information from the literature, Tamil literature and other literatures. It is available, but it is not easily understandable. What we need to know is we have to make it easy and try to publish this kind of information so that it will, for example, I have published some of the information like in India, the traditional and indigenous knowledge what we are already existing, that I have published in some of my papers. So those kind of information should be spreaded over there in all of the areas, so that it will be very useful. And continuously you have to spread this information. That is very important.
You were talking about the literature. So, can you name few of the literature what you referred to gain
Yeah,
such
actually for us
kind
in
of
Tamil
knowledge?
we have Silappadigaram like that. Even in Tirukural we have some of the informations. Tirukural, Silappadigaram, and I can say Naladiyar in Tamil we have. Tamil literature. What I'm telling you is Tamil literatures, but its language is very bit difficult to understand. You have to talk to some Tamil professors here. So like that in all languages it is there. It's not only in Tamil. Like that, literatures are in different languages. We have to explore.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have given my all my details over there in the chat box. If you want to know more about me, you can write it to me, and or you can just Google it, Dr. GP Ganapathy. You can get all about my information. And my Facebook, if you search Ganapathy Pattukandan, I have put it in chat box also. Add me in your Facebook so that I regularly post all my disaster related information. I used to disseminate knowledge, whatever I do, particularly any research or any kind of event, any information related to disaster throughout world, whatever is happening throughout the world, I used to post in my Facebook page. You can feel free, anybody can add me, most welcome. I will add you, and you can get benefited.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Someone is,
Yeah,
this is
Anuj
Anuj.
Verma, you want to ask something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello, good
yeah, you
afternoon, sir.
go on, go on.
Sir,
Good afternoon,
yes,
Anuj.
sir. Sir, first I would like to thank you for such a wonderful presentation. So your session was really high above our expectations, sir, especially the indigenous part which you
Thank you.
covered. Sir, I wanted to ask the indigenous methods which you presented because disasters are being coming from since man is existing. So man from time immemorial has developed his own ways to deal with it. So the
Yeah.
indigenous method which you presented, sir, are
Mhm.
any research going for their advancement or are they being employed by the disaster management bodies in India currently?
Mhm.
Any of this method?
Right now, it's not there actually. That's what I used to emphasize. See, for example, in your this group itself, a lot of IT people are there, information technology people. So that's what I want to convey is like traditional knowledge we cannot directly follow whatever we have, right? So what we can do is like something mixed with your recent technology, right? So now we have IoT, right? IoT is there, we have a databases, big data analytic is there. So for example, the Sangakal Mandapam which I have taught, right? There is a conch. The system is very simple, right? What I presented in this, like in a river there is a small structure over that they have a conch. Conch is nothing but the sangu in Tamil actually. So when wind velocity, when water comes, so it means like water is going to raise, right? So what you can do, like IoT sensor, you can put it over there, similar kind of technology. So you can have a multiple sensor in a multiple place. For example, 100 kilometer stretch of a river. So if you are going to put a sensor over there in a first kilometer, 10th kilometer, 20 kilometer, like that. So when water crosses over 10th kilometer itself, if you are able to get an alarm, so you are in the 20th kilometer, maybe it may not be useful for 10th kilometer person, but it may be useful for 20th kilometer person. There is going to be a, if there is a siren has come, next 10 minutes you are going to get a water in 10. So you know the velocity, you know the river width, you know the river depth, everything, so that you can calculate, and based on the IoT and big data, so that so what I want to convey here is like use this information, like traditional knowledge, add your technology in that, so that it will be easy to disseminate. So we don't have currently for those kind of things, but we have to do it. That's what I emphasize in all my lecture. Wherever I go, I present this lecture.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir,
Yeah,
for
thank
making us
you,
aware
sir.
of
Thank you,
magnanimity
sir.
Thank you.
culture. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
So
Yeah.
somebody's asking
Yes,
question.
Aryan Ramteke, you want to ask something?
Sir,
Yes.
actually,
Yeah.
now, yes, sir. Sir, actually, now using nuclear energy, sir,
Mhm.
the energy consumption, like we are producing energy using nuclear in nuclear plants. So, sir,
Okay.
what measures do we take to maintain that there is no harm to the environment using nuclear plants, sir?
Yeah, actually, I'm not expertise in that area, but what I would suggest is like there is a for any kind of this kind of nuclear industry or chemical industry or any kind of industry, there is a offline and on-site emergency management plan is there. So if they follow, you don't need to much worry about your environmental hazards, because it is going to be controlled within the environment itself, because on-site emergency management plans are available for this kind of nuclear power plants, and as usual, as well offline. So suppose if they are going to carry during the transportation, if there is going to be some disaster happen, how to handle. So all these informations are available, but if it is going to leak anyway, it is going to be danger to the environment. So what we need to know, we need to protect in on-site itself. That is the best practice what they are doing currently, but I'm not much aware of the nuclear related things. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you. This you can share, sir. Yes, Jain sir, are you there in the meeting? Yeah, you are there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. So thank you so much, sir, Ganapathy sir. Thank you so much for joining this session. And within short time, this time of notice, you have given such a wonderful session that we can see the messages, responses from the students as well as the faculties that they have given such a this one. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Rishikesh Sawant to give the vote of thanks. Yes, Rishikesh.
Thank you so much, Rushali ma'am. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossoms. I, Rishikesh Sawant from PE Chemical, deem it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries on this successful webinar. A very hearty vote of thanks to the chief guest, Dr. G.P. Ganapathy sir and Dr. Shamita Sawant ma'am, who spared time from their busy schedule to grace the occasion. I cannot thank you enough for this interaction. Your valuable lessons will definitely help us in the future. Next, I wish to extend my most sincere thanks to the college management for playing a very crucial role in being our helping hands. I would like to thank our principal, respected Dr. Sudhir Savarkar sir, for always supporting and believing in us. Special thanks to our beloved Dr. Sujata Kulle ma'am, Head of IT Engineering Department, and Dr. Kalpana Deshmukh ma'am, Head of Chemical Engineering Department, for having our backs entire time. I also wish to express my profound gratitude to Mrs. Anita Mhatre ma'am and Vrushali Raut ma'am for their leading supervision and guidance throughout. Also, I would like to thank our faculty members for encouraging and inspiring us at every point. As no program can become successful with a single person, I extend my big thanks to all the members of our GITS and SOChE committee for the involvement and the enthusiasm you all have shown to make this successful. Finally, I would like to thank everyone who have attended the webinar. Thank you for showing interest in this program and paying your valuable attention. This wouldn't have been possible without you all. Once again, I want to state that we are most grateful to each and everyone for making today's webinar such a resounding success. With these warm words, we move to the end of today's webinar. Before that, I will request every participant to kindly fill the feedback form we have posted in the chat box. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ganapathy sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ganapathy sir, and
Thank
also thank you so much for all the participants that they have joined. And Ganapathy sir, it was really a very good informative session, and the presentation was also really good. Also, you have shared your details. So that the students, those who want to contact you, they can contact you.
Yeah, most welcome.
And
Most welcome.
yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Kindly please fill the feedback form.
And feedback form has been shared with friends, so please fill the feedback form. Okay.
Vrushali ma'am, thank you. Anita ma'am,
Thank you, Jain sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.